It's another year of Canberra basketball, ACT basketball, and the Canberra Gunners are in red hot form, undefeated throughout the season. Meanwhile, for the Nationals, a few injuries have held them back from reaching their full potential, but there's still plenty of talent on their roster and plenty of time left in the season to turn things around. Welcome to 2 Feet in the Paint's NBL1 East review show on the Canberra Gunners and Canberra Nationals. Welcome wherever you are, whether you're tuning in on Spotify or tuning in on YouTube. The Canberra Gunners came to the Bear Cave and we had a chance to have a look at their teams early on in the season, and starting with the men's side, we were really impressed. They had a dominant performance over the Bears, getting an 81-63 win, and that performance was headlined by Will Mayfield, who dropped 21 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals. Now, Will Mayfield was looking absolutely dynamic out there. But to hear what he had to say after the game, let's throw back to me from the past. We're going to interview with Will Mayfield.
Will Mayfield, star of the Canberra Gunners after a convincing win against the North Bears. Coming into this game, Will, we noticed a lot of players missing. What was Coach Pete Herak stressing throughout the week?
I think it was mostly stressing about, just keeping our bodies right, really looking after ourselves, and coming to a tough matchup, especially playing here, we always sort of struggle. Crowd always gets into it. We want to look after our discipline, really work hard at, sticking together, trying to keep our bodies right and stay disciplined on and off the court. Yeah. That was our main sort of focus.
Yeah, and for you this season, you've had several years playing in this unit. How good is it playing with the same unit every year and bring in new players as well?
Yeah, it's awesome. We've really got that chemistry and have for years since, like you said, and we're just getting younger, which seems weird.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. These young guys come in. They really sort of look up to the three of us, me, James, and Glenn, and I love playing with these lads.
Yeah, the ball movement was exquisite. It's like you guys have a telepathic connection out there. There was like a few possessions where the ball didn't even touch the floor, and we were just like, wow, what's your netball here? But yeah, finally, just to get over the edge this year, of course you guys will be in championship contention. I don't think that's too controversial to say, but what do you think it's going to take the team just to that next level?
I think really staying healthy.
Yeah.
And always firing. We've got to be on our best because every team is so good this year.
Yeah.
The East is only getting better, which is amazing for the league, and I love challenging myself. First time I played against Goody in years.
Yeah.
And he's just a monster, but I love the challenge, and I think we've really just got to lift as a team. Everyone's got to be on their best. We can't come in thinking we're going to win every game.
Yeah, awesome, man. Those your shoes broke during the game. What are you going to buy? What's the replacement going to be? From Foot Locker, of course.
Who knows? Could be anything. I really like these,
yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see. Got a few pairs at home, but maybe I'm time for a new pair.
All right, Foot Locker Canberra, get this man some shoes. Come on, he deserves it. Foot Locker Player of the Week, maybe. Will Mayfield, thanks for joining us here in 2 Feet in the Paint. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Thanks, Will.
And it wasn't just Will Mayfield stepping up that day. Of course, Glenn Morison, one part of the Canberra Big Three, was looking dominant as always. 16 points, only 3 rebounds, which is a little low, but the team rebounding was actually all quite low. They had 33 rebounds compared to the North Bears 52, but hey, they somehow managed to get the win nonetheless with a dominant offensive performance. Glenn Morison shot 50%, Mayfield 53%, Toohey 66%. So really efficient shooting night, all because of the ball movement. And I think maybe that's a part of Glenn Morison's game that can be underrated. When they can run those high post sets out of Morison or that high pick and roll action, it opens up so much for the Canberra Gunners, whether that's the ball handler, whoever that may be, attacking off the pick and roll, or looking for cutters going baseline. And they also get those looks as well when Glenn Morison's on the wing extended on the baseline, looking for cutters into the middle, or he's obviously got that mid-range pop, which we all know is so lethal. But there's something interesting that I want to point out with the Canberra Gunners is who fills that 4 spot. Now, heading into the season, I would have picked Lachie Smith, but Angus Byatt did get the start. But I think it's a huge blessing for Coach Pete Herak to be able to have both those options. Because Lachie Smith has a bit of a skill set of a three-man, but definitely has the athleticism and the skill set to play the 4. We've seen Lachie Smith throw down some massive dunks throughout the years. And for Angus Byatt, it's just good to have that tall, solid defender, can finish in and around the ring, and does a lot of the dirty work defensively as well. So I think whoever's playing alongside Morison, Smith, if you want more of that versatile stretch 4, and Byatt if you want that more conventional 4, I think it just gives the Gunners a lot of looks, which they had this game. Going up against Goodrick and Wilkes, you need a lot of size. That's why I think Byatt got the start. So a lot of depth in that position for the Canberra Gunners. Meanwhile, heading over to the guard position. Now, there's a lot of omissions this game, actually. No Brooklyn Bruton, no Cam Pender, no Derek Emelifeonwu. So Mitch Robinson got the start. We'll get back to Mitch in just a second, but it was going to be huge for the Canberra Gunners. Adding Brooklyn Bruton, I think, was a masterstroke in the off-season. They didn't really have a whole lot of guard scoring off the bench, or even in the starting lineup. So I think Brooklyn Bruton really brings that, because we know he's an explosive scorer. He can really shoot the three quickly and create his own shot off the dribble. I think the big thing with Bruton's going to be how he fits into the Canberra Gunner system. We know they like a lot of ball movement, so how he can get his shots up without disrupting the offensive flow, which I'm sure he can, but only played one game this season, so not too sure what's going on with the injury situation. And then you've got a player who we've always had huge raps on, is Cam Pender, who I don't think is really an out-and-out point guard, but a lot of the times last season and the season before, we saw Cam Pender running the offense for the Canberra Gunners. Of course, they do have that team scheme, so it's pretty much just whoever's bringing up the ball, and then you kind of get into your set. It's not a particularly set-out point guard. It's just, who's really doing the meters, as they say in rugby league, just getting those meters up the court. But for Cam Pender, he's a very versatile player and very athletic as well. A great ball handler, and I think uses his size and strength to his advantage, getting on those dribble penetrations and either kicking it out or going up himself. And last season, we also saw the addition of Derek Emelifeonwu. So that's another guy who can play that point guard position, quite tall for the point position. And last season, in guiding the Canberra Gunners to the grand final, I think Derek was a huge X factor, that turning point that they needed last season to really bring everything together. So much as you've got Smith and Byatt giving you different options at that 4 spot, I think having Bruton, Pender, and Emelifeonwu being able to rotate in those 1 or 2 guard positions, all of them, like Emelifeonwu and Pender could even slip into the 3 if needed. It's great for Pete Herak to have this versatility. I think that's what makes the Canberra Gunners so difficult to beat, because they can really throw anything at you. They can match any one of your game plans. And a big shout out to Rob Emelifeonwu, Bob Ross, or Bobby Two Shoes, and Mitch Robinson coming off the bench. 2 academy boys who I think just provide really good depth for this Gunners team. Of course, they're still young and coming up through the system, so the future's looking bright. And overall for the Canberra Gunners, it's that depth. Even players like Lucas Schmidt and Will Rice can give you great minutes throughout the night. And they play a very unselfish way. And of course, we can't go past the Gunners without mentioning James Toohey. Sensational on-ball defender, really shut down North's guards. Just, they don't really have a whole lot of room to breathe. Of course, if you do want to see our interview with James Toohey, Garen caught up with him post-game. You're just going to head over to Instagram. That's 2 Feet Into Paint on Instagram. Go check that out and share it around. The interview's been doing really well recently. So go check out our interview with James Toohey over there. Full credit to Coach Pete Herak. It's everyone singing from the same song sheet, which is kind of difficult. But I think with a lot of homegrown talent who've been playing in this Canberra system for a long time now, I think down through juniors, up until Youth League and Academy, up until NBL1, they do preach a very similar system. So having all that homegrown loyal talent, no imports on this team, I think provides a lot of continuity year in, year out. So I think that's why we've seen the Gunners start the season in red-hot form. Look, I think are still very much title contenders. I mean, I'd be shocked if they didn't make it to the Final Four at least. Checking in with the women's side. Now, it was a bit of a rough day out, but that normally is the case when you face the North Bears. A 101-62 loss, only with a 3-person bench for Canberra. So under new coach Shane Wallace taking off from Kristen Veal. Canberra's, I think, still sorting it out, but there was plenty of great signs out there. I mean, the return of Callie McAlister, aka Callie Smith, you may remember her as bringing that WNBL experience into the side, and it showed. Early in that first quarter, Callie McAlister, everything was running through her, whether it was getting those high post entries, getting down on the low block and trying to bully her way to the basket. Callie McAlister was a huge difference maker in that first quarter, and they were neck and neck at the end of the first quarter, still in with a shot. Norths kind of pulled away as the game went on. But I think anytime they're looking to get it into Carlie McAlister, it was looking dangerous for the Canberra Nationals. And having those cutters and having those extra options for kickouts for their shooters, which we'll talk about soon, was really handy. So with losing Lizzie Tonks, there's a lot of scoring they needed there. Same with Maddie Penn in that position specifically. But, Carlie Smith with 24 points and 16 rebounds this game and did it off of 58% shooting. So you've definitely got the pointy end of your spear. You've got a player who can go out there and give you 20 and 10, if not more. But the question for Canberra is who's going to be that complementary player. Someone I would like to highlight is the returning Abbie Solway. Played in Darwin last season. Of course, used to be part of the Canberra Nationals system. So good to have her back playing for a hometown club. And she had signs of real dangerous play. Like, she was looking very sharp, especially when she got a bit of room to breathe in those 3-point shots. Shot 2 of 4, so it's a solid 50%. Had 15 points in the game all round. And I think Abbie Solway, with Abbie Solway, if they can figure out how to get a little more space through pick and rolls or even playing her off the ball, that's going to be key to trying to get her getting those 20 points a game. Because she can definitely do it efficiently as well. It's going to be interesting balancing those scoring responsibilities with playmaking responsibilities. As we said a little earlier, Lizzie Tonks no longer with the Canberra Nationals. Not too sure why, but Abbie Solway now that primary ball handler. So it's going to come along slowly. Didn't have any assists this game, but you got to think Abbie Solway is more of a scoring guard. So if they can try bring someone in or train someone up to help Abbie with that ball handling responsibility, then I think they'll really unlock her potential. A player who could help with that is Callie Bourne. Now, we know Callie Bourne can pretty much do everything on the court. In college, we did see her do a lot of shooting, a lot of ball handling. In the college system as more of a guard, but since coming back to Canberra, has played pretty much every position for them, from 3 to 4. I think's kind of a specialty, but really with Callie Bourne, she's an all-rounded player and a great rebounder as well, not to mention. She was missing in this game, which I thought would have really helped the Canberra Nationals hang around or even win this game, having Callie in the side. But she's ready to go to the next level. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I think Callie Bourne really could break into that star 5 conversation, because this really is her team now. And if Coach Wallace can unlock her potential and run some sets to get her going, it'll make a big difference. And as we said, there's only 3-person bench for Canberra this game, so really need all hands on deck. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for Callie Bourne. Not too sure what's going on. I think she was injured in this game. She was on the bench, just in street clothes though, so didn't look like too hobbled or anything. No crutches, no big braces, so I don't think it's anything too serious injury-wise. So fingers crossed we can see Callie Bourne back out there for the Canberra Nationals. It's going to be a huge difference maker as the season goes along. And between Solway, McAlister, and Bourne, I think that's a good big 3 that can go and fill up your scoring and do the dirty work for your team night in, night out. Another part of their side, which I'm curious about, is how can they get Abbie Ketels going. We're talking about Carlie Smith's impact in the paint. Abbie Ketels, we know she can shoot the 3, but I wouldn't mind seeing her getting into the paint a little more. She's a very physical player, is tall, has a lot of height, is very gifted as well. We know she can shoot the 3, but when she's in the paint, I think she's at her most effective. Had 5 rebounds and 6 assists this game. So that playmaking ability for Abbie Ketels was a part of her game that I hadn't really realised until seeing her live this weekend. Seeing her distribute out of those handoff situations and pick and roll situations as well. It was really unselfish. And even just having that bully ball between Ketels and Carlie McAlister in the paint, it almost wore Norths down. Especially in that first quarter, it was working really well. Ketels feeding McAlister and vice versa. We'd like to see Abbie Ketels get some more touches in the paint. Didn't have any points this game, but we know she is a capable scorer. And if not, she would be out there getting rebounds for you, getting steals, doing the defensive dirty work. But if they can sharpen that Carlie Smith, Abbie Ketels combination, try to use it a little more, I think that'll open things up for shooters as well, but also give them a lot of high percentage shots in the paint. And speaking of opening things up for shooters, Jas Boutzos did struggle this game. We've always had very high raps on Jas Boutzos. Just last season, we saw her tear up playing Hornsby Kringai Spiders, and she's one of those shooters, once she has her eye in, she's pretty much unstoppable. And elevated to the starting lineup, I think, consistently this year. I think she's really going to hold down that 2 spot. But again, it's just another one of those moving parts for Coach Shane Wallace. How does he unlock Jas Boutzos? And we're just talking about it a little earlier. I think if you can get those paint players going, get those early entry passes, that'll open it up for kickouts for Jas Boutzos. Had a bit of a rough shooting night, I will say. Only shot 10% for the night against the Bears, but that's a pretty uncharacteristic performance. Would like to see her get a little more ball handling responsibility. Maybe that's how she could get her shot going, but if they can set some down screens for her, get some off-ball action, I think that'll really open things up for the shooter, because we know Jas Boutzos can really light it up from 3. And just looking at the roster as well, her and Abbie Solway, both 3-point shooters. And finally as well, just a shout out to Elise Finney, had 8 points, 5 rebounds. Remember seeing her play in the first season of NBL1 East as a youngster, and looked pretty impressive. She's come along leaps and bounds season after season. And to go along Jade McCowan as well, who's playing for the Nationals, that's a pretty solid depth at the 4 position, because I think both those players fit into a system where they don't require the ball too much. They will get in there, they will do the rebounding, they will hustle on defense. And between Finney and McCowan, that's, I think, a good complementary piece to McAlister and Ketels as well, having unselfish bigs. But wouldn't mind seeing Elise Finney getting a few more scoring opportunities, because I think her skill set's really improved season after season. That's all we have time for Toohey in the Paint's review show of the Canberra Nationals and Canberra Gunners. There's a lot to be positive about down in the nation's capital. Both sides are just stacked, particularly with local talent, which is one thing you got to respect about the Canberra system. If you're in the ACT region, go check out your teams. I think they've got a big doubleheader coming up on the Anzac round weekend. Can't wait to see the Nationals and Gunners run around later this season. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you around the grounds again this weekend as NBL1 East is back.